What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. We did an Ask Me Anything, and in this video I'm just walking around answering your questions. I recorded everything on my S20 Ultra, had my Galaxy Bud Pluses in my ears, and it started to get a little bit dark, so if you notice like the lighting get darker, that's why as the questions progressed. I took about 5 or 6 of your questions and answered them, so enjoy it. Nicholas Zavala asked, what would the perfect Surface Duo consist of spec-wise? And that is a fantastic question, because one of the things that I kind of complained about was that spec-wise, it's not the most intriguing of devices. Snapdragon 855, which is last year's processor, along with a 6 gigabytes of RAM. You're also looking at a 1080p plus display and a really small battery. I think it was like 3600 milliamps, around there somewhat. But what would it consist of, like, so that it would be crazy? Well, before I answer that, if that original phone with the specs that they have right now is like under $1,000, maybe $800, something like that, then I don't think I'll care about the specs. Also, I probably won't care about the specs if it just performs good as well. Those two things, if it performs really well and it's a really reasonable price, I'll be absolutely happy. Very happy indeed. Now, to answer your question though, I think most people would be happy, and I probably would be too, like blown away or like super happy with Snapdragon 865, 12 gigabytes of RAM at the very least. 16 would be awesome. I think I'm fine with the storage. I won't go 64 gigs on this, but 256 is probably absolutely fine with me. Maybe throw in a micro SD card for people that want it. I personally don't use them anymore because I'm pretty happy with storage at this point being at 256 or 512 or something like that. I think that's very, very reasonable. Some other things I'd be interested in: wireless charging would be a nice little addition. Reverse wireless charging. I don't use reverse wireless charging almost ever. Wireless charging I do use sometimes. And then other than that, that's probably pretty much it. I guess the resolution of the screen would be cooler if it was higher, maybe like 2K plus or at least 120 hertz in there as well. A bigger battery, 5,000 milliamps. So that kind of stuff, that's spec-wise, I think that's like the what you'd expect, especially in 2020. I almost said 2019, but 2020, that's kind of what you would expect at this point. And I think that would make me happy, or at least I'd be like satisfied enough. But again, to go back, if they get this price right, and I think that's what they're trying to do, that's why the specs are a little bit downplayed on this. I think this might be a device people buy, especially having 2 screens on there to be able to truly multitask with displays that are the same size, to be able to like play a game on one and to, look at a website or do social media or watch a video on the other, and have it be, again, full size displays. That's so cool. So I'm still very excited about the device, and but yeah, otherwise that's pretty much the specs I would want to see on this phone. The Duke is asking, what do you think of me switching my family from Android to iOS? It's not a bad thing, but potentially it could get you into a world of expensive products and get you locked into the Apple ecosystem. So I think one of the big things that you hear from people, besides that they're just happy with their phone, is that they don't want to leave iOS because their friends are on it, and it has iMessage and it has FaceTime. Now, a lot of those apps, my dog's barking. She hates big dogs. So one of the big things that you'll hear from people, especially about iOS, is that they get locked into the ecosystem. They love iMessage, they love FaceTime, all that stuff. But there's obviously, you can use Google Duo for a replacement. You can use, Viber or WhatsApp to get around iMessage. So like there's ways to, I'm doing a 360 because my dog was wrapped around me. So there's ways to get around those apps, but people don't want to take those steps to do it. So I think be prepared to potentially be locked in or feel like you're locked into iOS for a very, very long time, which to me is a big turnoff, especially with their walled garden and not a lot of customization, which maybe you're not into customization, maybe you are, but I do like a little bit more control over my phone than iOS offers. But at the same time, you'll probably be, very happy with iOS. I think a lot of people are that are in it. Some people aren't. Obviously, is always going to be the exception, but a lot of people still are. And it has a ton of apps. It has every app you can probably think of and want. They now have a file system, so if you want to access to saving files and saving videos from people that they sent you, or like saving a PDF or something like that, you now can directly on the phone because they have a Files app. So it's matured a lot as an operating system. There's just still not a lot of customization and a lot of control over how you can control it. But there still is a little bit, don't get me wrong. So I don't think it's bad. I just think it could get fairly expensive, especially if you want to get a laptop. MacBooks are very expensive. Their tablets can be very expensive if you go to the pro route. I don't know, but otherwise I think you'd probably be very happy. Mr. D's Product Reviews is asking me what I think of how the pandemic is going to affect technology. And I think it's going to affect it in a few ways. I think starting now, I think they're going to start to offer more jobs from home. So a lot more telecommuting type jobs, which if I had to go back to a regular 9-to-5 job, I would be absolutely thrilled with, because there was nothing worse than commuting to my job, getting stuck in traffic, and then going into an office and having to get dressed up and seeing people. And I'm kind of a loner. I like to be by my own. So that would be awesome for me. I also think there's going to be a lot more like video group chatting like there is already with Zoom and Google Meet and apps like that. I think that's going to I think that will stay very, very popular from here on out, is those big group video chats. You can do it in FaceTime. You can now do it in Google Duo. So there's a lot of apps that take advantage of that, and I think that'll be a way that people maybe get together a little bit more. Maybe like instead of going to the bar, you'll stay at your house and drink with your friends on Google Meet or Zoom and just hang out that way. I think that will be kind of a popular way. I think one of the big ways that this is going to change is VR. I feel like this is a perfect way for virtual reality to really take hold and be exciting, to put you on these virtual worlds and play games with each other, be in a virtual world with each other, and really hang out. It kind of reminds me of that new show from Amazon called Upload, which if you haven't seen, you have to watch that. I already watched it, but the first season, but it's my favorite show I've watched in a long time. It's literally what happens is when you die, you can either go to see what happens when you die, or you can upload your mind, your memories into the cloud and live in a virtual reality world. It's very interesting, and I think if they can make things like that more clear and more open to like how people live their lives now, like real life stuff, like to put you in this virtual world and hang out with these people and make it look cool and fun, I think that's where technology will go ultimately, because it's safer. You're not going to give somebody the flu in a virtual reality world. And that's what I'm kind of excited about, is that virtual reality setting. Again, Mr. D's Product Review channel is asking me a question on basically what the perfect phone would be spec-wise and update-wise and everything put together. For me, it's kind of a tough question, because now we're getting into a wave of phones and devices that are folding and have these ultra large displays like the Galaxy Fold 2 or the Microsoft Surface Duo, which has 2 displays, or LG makes a phone just like that. So it's kind of tough, and I haven't used those devices enough in hand to say if I want a device more like that, or just traditional like candy bar style phone like the Note 10 or the Galaxy S20 or the iPhone 11 or something like that. But I'll answer it a little bit. So update-wise, I think they should copy the model of Apple, which basically almost every phone gets updates for like 5 years or something like that. Really support these phones, especially with the way the economy is going at this point. The other part of that, spec-wise, I mean, it's just modern specs, because it's always going to change. But as of right now, a Snapdragon 865 or like an Apple A13 or A14 processor, something like that, 12 to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Storage-wise, I think perfect would be like 512 gigabytes, because at that point, I don't think a lot of people need anything more than that. I think that would cover basically everybody. 6,000, 7,000 milliamp battery, but obviously a battery that's not going to make the phone super heavy, wireless charging, water resistance, just the basics. Basically a Galaxy phone, but maybe like a better camera right now, especially with the way the S20 Ultra camera is, with being hit or miss. So a product like that. But as for like screen, that's a tough one. Like I said, it's because I'm excited about the Galaxy Fold 2, but I haven't personally had a lot of time with it to really be like, oh, I love this thing. I need a device like this to make it really part of what I want in a phone. I think I want that. I think that is the future of technology, is these little tiny displays that either roll up or fold up really small, and then they open up these really nice large displays that you can use. Sachin Archaya is asking me what I think the price of the Galaxy Note 20 Plus will end up being, and if I think it's going to end up being lower or not. I don't think they're going to substantially lower the price in this. Like, I can't imagine that they're going to put out a device that is like $800 for a Note phone, especially with like really, really good specs and a nice display. Even if it's the Note 20, which is slightly lower end device, I just can't imagine they're going to price out a Note that low and then have like the Note 20 Plus like $1,000. I would fully expect they would have the top end Note be about $1,299 or $1,399. I don't think it'll be $1,500 or $1,600, but I do think it'll be in that $1,300 to $1,400 for the high price. And I think the low price one will probably be $999. So I think you're looking at devices that are $1,000 to $1,400, somewhere in that price range. And I think that's what they're going to stick to. Like, even though like the economies are going, wild, and all this stimulus money is going out from governments to people all throughout the world, I still don't think these companies are going to massively take their flagships and price them so low. So I think that's going to be the price range, $1,000 to about $1,400 for the new Note. And the last question of the day, Mr. D's product review asked me, who in my family has the oldest phone and why? And that's an easy one. My mom, she has the iPhone 8 Plus. Actually, my sister has a Pixel 2. So my sister has a Pixel 2 because she doesn't care about technology, and the Pixel 2 just works, takes good photos, and she got it for cheap. My mom, I actually pay for her phone, and she has the iPhone 8, what is it called? Not Pro, whatever the bigger one is. She has that one because it works, it has a home button, it's easy to use, and she doesn't care about having the latest and greatest. When she does use her phone, she barely uses it. I call her, she doesn't answer her phone. I text her, she doesn't return texts. So she doesn't need like a crazy good phone. And that phone actually is still really, really good for what you get for the price. So overall, I think it's a really, really good phone for her. But we'll probably get her upgraded when the phone's about to die or starts to really crap the bed. I'll still get her an iPhone just because she's kind of used to it, and it's the most simple phone, I think, for an older person. So I'll probably end up getting her like another big screened iPhone, whatever that may be, just because her eyes aren't the greatest. She's older, and so she needs that big display. But yeah, thank you guys for sending me your questions, and we'll do this definitely again in the future, and I'll see you guys down the road. Peace.